Good morning, everybody. We're doing this Zoom about helping seniors vote, and we were kind of talking about what the age is, and it's ageless, really. The information is good for almost everyone in registering to vote. So don't be shy about sharing it with younger people, younger being, you know, in their 40s, in their 30s, even in their 20s, because it works for everybody. But first of all, let me just say this is being sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Delaware County. And there are two smaller leagues in that, the Central Delaware County and Radnor. And I want to give a shout out to Diana Pope in the Radnor League. She went around to 29 facilities getting addresses and activities directors, names and phone numbers and um, email addresses. And what a mammoth job that was. And then we all delivered flyers and checklists to all of those facilities. Um, so I know, just having delivered my portion along with my team of about 5 people who were helping. It's a big job, but what a wonderful um, time it was. League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization, and we believe in empowering voters and promoting democracy, and long may it live. And the keystone of that is voting. And in most states, you can't vote unless you're registered. There are a few states that you can walk in on election day and register, but Pennsylvania is not one of them. So we have a requirement that 15 days ahead you must be registered. In order to get a mail-in ballot, it's 7 days ahead. But let's go ahead and put in the PowerPoint, get it started. This PowerPoint is pretty much paralleling a checklist that I sent out to um, people, and everyone who registered that I have on the list today is getting the checklist. So that checklist has links and details and information that you can click on and get forms. So it's really going to be your voting Bible for your seniors that you're helping. And we have a couple of elections a year, so don't lose that paper or that file if you keep it digitally. Digitally will be best because you'll be able to get the clicks. And first, we want to say thank you. You're really so important to getting your residents registered and helping them vote. You play an important role in supporting our democracy. Next slide. So that voter services checklist for nursing home rehabilitation center staff and family members who assist your resident to vote is going to be really important. If you have someone who is really good with the computer and technology, they can use this checklist themselves. Feel free to give it to them. But there are spring and fall elections every year. This year, which we're recording this on April 22nd, 2025, our election is May 20th, 2025. Next slide. Okay, so first step is when you get a new resident, ask the resident if they're registered to vote. It can be part of your admission process. And when I talked to different facilities, many of them said it is. So that's fabulous. Ask them, are you registered to vote? Ask your existing residents if they're registered to vote. And if they're not, encourage them to register and tell them how important their vote is. I find that seniors really want to vote, and they're really frustrated if it doesn't work for them or if something's gone wrong. But if this is important, if they are coming to one of your residences they need to re-register because they will have changed their address. And just a little footnote to that, they need to be living at the existing address for 30 days when they vote in the election. So if, say, April 20th, they come that and register, that'll work. But if they register on, even now, they're going to have to get a mail-in ballot and register as if they're away from their past address. If you're not sure if they're registered, this is probably one of the most used websites. You can go to PA Voter Services on the votepa.gov website, vote.pa.gov. They ask us all the time, I'm not sure if I'm registered. I'm not sure if my address is right. I'm not sure where my poll is, if they want to go vote in person. I'm not sure what party I'm registered in. I'm not sure if I signed up for a mail-in ballot. It's all on that. You can just put in a name, the zip code, the county, date of birth, and you can do it for them or they can do it themselves. So you can do that for anyone. That's public knowledge, public information. Next slide. As far as eligibility to vote, as I said, they should be at the new address for 30 days. You register if you're a new voter, if you're changing your address, if you're changing your party, or if you changed your name. If someone got married or decided to go back to their maiden name or just change their name. This is often applicable to some of our people who become naturalized citizens. They may change their name to a more Americanized name, so to speak, or what. So if they do that, then they can register the name and the documents. As I said, the deadline to register is 15 days before Election Day, and that will be for this year, for this election, May 5th. There is an online registration, and that link there, or the vote.pa.gov, that's kind of the big website, and you look around for it. But that you can register online. I caution people that if you have a Pennsylvania driver's license or a Pennsylvania PennDOT ID, that makes it really easy to vote online or to register online. But if you can't vote online, sorry about that. Should wipe that out. Can't vote online. But if you're registering online, you need to upload a signature if you don't have that driver's license. So if you don't have a driver's license or a Pennsylvania PennDOT ID, it's better to use paper. Next slide. So the paper voter registration application form is also on that vote.pa.gov. That only requires a signature. There's a place for a driver's license number or the last four digits of your social security number, and most people know that, even if they don't know their driver's license number. But even without those, your signature will get you registered in Pennsylvania for now, unless laws change. There's a place for you to put your contact information, your email address, a phone number. I highly recommend you do that because if you do, they notify you when your mail-in ballot has been received, when your application has been received, when your mail-in ballot is on its way. And they also will contact you in Delaware County. Not all Pennsylvania counties do this, but Delaware County contacts you if your ballot had something wrong, if you forgot a date, if you forgot to sign. And then there's other steps you can take. So let's go on to, and they also will notify you if something on your application for registering to vote is not quite clear. Okay, next slide. A lot of seniors, including me, request mail-in ballots. I like the mail-in ballot because it gives me time to really look at the ballot and look up the candidates and what I want to vote for and who I want to vote for. So if you, on that application, you say, I would like a mail-in ballot continuously. In January, February, right about that time, you will get a notification that you need to apply for the mail-in ballot that year. This is one of the things I think is a little archaic that you have to do that. Other states just, if you want mail-in, they send it to you. But in Pennsylvania, every year you're going to get this apply for the mail-in ballot. There's a way to do it online. In fact, you will get a letter about it and you get an email about it, or you can get the paper application, which comes in the one that you get in the mail. I actually did the paper application because it seemed clearer, and then you can mail that in. I took it to the courthouse, but you certainly can mail that application in. So if you're going to apply for a mail-in ballot and you haven't um, asked for it before, 7 days before Election Day would be the time to apply for that mail-in ballot. Again, you can do that online if you have your driver's license. And if not, then you need to do a paper application, which you can get on, I'm going to, at the bottom of this and in the chat, you're going to see links for any of these forms I talk about. Next slide. All right, when the mail-in ballot comes, if you're not voting in person, it'll come about 3 weeks before the elections. It has to be received, not mailed, but received on election day by 8 p.m. So the county has drop-in boxes that are very secure, locked, cameras on them. So that's a really good way to make sure they get there. You can take it to the Bureau of Elections and give it to them, or you can put it in the mail. But if you put it in the mail, just remember it must be received by 8 p.m. on election day. Now, if you don't know what your ballot's going to look like, vote411.org or ballot.70.org are great places to look. You can put your address in and your ballot will come up. Vote411.org is the League of Women Voters site. We ask the candidates questions. Sometimes they don't respond and answer those questions. So sometimes that is not a complete picture of the people that you're considering to vote for. Ballot.70.org, I really like. That's put out by the Committee of 70, which was based in Philadelphia, but it does ballots for all of Pennsylvania. They will give you the education and experience of every candidate. So even if League of Women Voters hasn't gotten them to answer, Committee of 70 has researched their background, which is really useful. I was looking at other options, and a really good option, which Kathy Youngman has put on the chat, is the Delco PA.gov/vote/sample ballots. And that was excellent. You can actually go to your precinct in your county and look at what the ballot looks like. So I'm in, and for this election, I'll just go to, so I don't know if that's clear. Is that clear?
No.
Anyway, you can
No.
print out a sample ballot. For this election, you're going to, and the one that's in the spring is always by party. So you're going to either ask for a Republican ballot or a Democratic ballot. For everyone in Pennsylvania, this election, they're going to be voting for a judge of the Common Pleas Court and a judge for the Superior Court. And what you should know about that is that the Superior Court is the 15-member judge. There are 15 members on the Superior Court, and one of them went to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, so his spot is being filled. There are going to be two Republican candidates in May and one Democratic candidate. And they both are appeals courts that come from, I won't go into the specifics, you can research that, but they've been judges that are hearing appeals of lower courts. Okay, let's see, Bureau. Next one. All right, this gets, I only had experience this last election. This is when I decided everybody needs to understand how this works. If someone goes into the hospital unexpectedly, or becomes very, very sick, they planned to vote at the poll, well, they can go to and get an emergency ballot. Or let's say they cannot drop their ballot into the drop box or the mailbox. Okay. Well, you have to have a form, a designated agent form. And what's important is that if you're in a facility and you have 90 residents who want to vote, you have to have a designated agent form for each resident. If you're taking, Joe Smith's ballot to the drop box for him, then you also need a designated agent form, which you'll see that you can get. The voter signs for you, but you can help the voter with all the other parts on it, the address and whatnot. But that voter then is giving you permission to take the ballot. Next form. Next slide, sorry. This emergency absentee ballot kicks in the Tuesday before election. So, for instance, our election is May 20th. On May 13th at 5 p.m., maybe the person's been in the hospital and realizes, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to vote. Well, you can get an emergency absentee ballot for that person. And here I learned the hard way. There are two forms that you need for this. There's an application for an emergency ballot. Again, they will sign and you can help them with the rest of the form. And there's a form where they're authorizing this person to pick up the ballot and then to return it. That goes directly to the Bureau of Elections by 8 p.m. on election day. And there's one in Media, there's one in Chester in Delaware County. That may be all, but you have to take it directly. So there are two forms, not just the application for the emergency ballot. You'll have on that checklist that I gave you has links to that, and Kathy has put in the chat some of these links also. Okay, next. Once you have voted, the Delaware County Bureau of Elections will notify you that your ballot has been received if it's a mail-in ballot. And if you mailed your ballot in, they'll let you know if there was something that disqualified your ballot. Now, if you're voting in person in the poll, you'll be putting your ballot into a scanning machine and it will pop it back out if something's wrong with it. But if it's all right, it'll say your thank you for voting, or your ballot has been, um, what does it say? Your ballot has been received, or and there's a little flag, and you know everything's great, you know. Um, but if a voter receives notification that something's wrong, now you go, okay, now we need an emergency absentee ballot, and you refer to how to go get that. That happened with a man, and his state representative called the League of Women Voters, called our president, and she put out the all points bulletin, who can help. So I did that. That's he was my learning experience, because I went to the Bureau of Elections with only one form, realized I needed two, went back to him, got that signed. So you need those two forms. Next slide. Okay, here are all the forms that you might need. And on that checklist, which I emailed to all of you, um, these forms are available at vote.pa.gov. That's the Pennsylvania voting website. And they're also available in Spanish and Chinese if someone should need those languages. But those have the voter registration application, the mail-in ballot application, that designated agent form, which allows someone else to take the ballot and put it in a drop box or mailbox, the absentee ballot application, and the authorized representative for emergency absentee ballot. Remember, the fourth and fifth ones are the two forms you would need if there were an emergency ballot needed. Okay, next. That's the end of the PowerPoint presentation. I did not see any questions on the registrations. There's usually an opportunity to put in questions, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to ask questions if anything wasn't clear.
I actually have a question, since this informational session is designed for people who are in care residences. Um, can someone who is an employee, who's organizing a voter registration drive at a care facility, can they take a bunch of mail-in ballots and put them in the drop box? Can they do more than one at a time?
They can, but every single ballot must have a designated agent form for that specific voter. So if there are 90 ballots, there should be 90 designated agent forms that all have the different people's names and information.
So the designated um, ballot form that you're talking about, does that get attached to the ballot when it goes in the drop?
That's a really good question. I got my designated agent form for all the people that I helped. I went to the drop boxes with them. I took a picture of my form and my ballot as I'm putting it in, but no one asked me for that piece of paper. It's just, if you were to be challenged right there at the drop box, is that your ballot? Do you have permission to give this to put this ballot in the drop box? You have that form to say, this is, so and so's ballot. Yes, I do. But I took those home with me in case I were ever questioned about it.
Yeah, because I guess you could get challenged as they're counting the votes. So you
But
should hang on to that form.
yeah, I've read that there are people who stand at drop boxes sometimes and challenge people. Is that your ballot?
Mm.
It has never happened to me, but you want that ballot to count. That was a good question.
I have a question.
Great, Becky.
Um, when I do my mail-in ballot, I'm always worried if I need to add my middle initial. So I always go by what is on the envelope.
Exactly. You should sign it the way it's been addressed to you on the envelope.
If you didn't sign it that way, would it still be counted?
Um, Signatures are not, they're not so strict about signatures. So if you signed your entire name instead of H or whatever your middle initial might be,
That's what it
that's,
is.
that's, oh, is it really? That's accepted. How about that?
Okay. Okay. I figured that was the case. So I've always kept the initial out because I don't have my card that, my voter registration card that probably has the way I signed up, right?
I was once on a hotline, and many people were concerned that, hey, my signature may not look like it used to because I have a tremor in my hand. And they do accept signatures as long as it looks, similar to the old one. Um, yeah. So that they're not so stringent about that right now.
Thank you.
But, people were nervous about that. It's okay. But the date, yeah, one of the things that people do wrong, let's say you're voting on yeah, May, you get your mail-in ballot on May 1st, and you sit down with it and you get ready to mail it in on May 5th, and your birthday's May 5th, and you go into automatic drive and you put your birth year instead of 2025. That's often, something that'll be wrong. But they really have, I think the new mail-in ballot has 2025 in there. That you can't do that mistake anymore, but they can't think for us completely.
Well, I wanted to stress, Jennifer, that all of the tips that you've given here um, are applicable to family members who want to help their relatives register.
And that's why I put family members. And I mean, I would help my mother when she was, in a wheelchair and couldn't do all of it herself, but she wanted to vote. It was always, in fact, my legacy for voting has come from her.
Kathleen put a question in the chat.
Okay.
Are the designated agent form and emergency absentee ballot application dropped off at the actual office
The
rather into a
the
drop box?
emergency uh, ballot is dropped. You go to the Bureau of Elections for the emergency absentee ballot, and you get those two forms there. You submit those there. And then, but a designated agent is for just mailing or putting in the drop box a mail-in ballot.
So
That answer your question, Kathleen? Okay.
Kathleen's second part of that is also, can the authorized representative for the emergency absentee ballot put, I guess they're saying, the form inside the mail-in ballot? Can they put the form in?
No, no, the ballot will be sealed, and you'll take the ballot to the Bureau of Elections with your form that gives you permission to bring the ballot. That was the number 5 form on that, it was the number 5 form on the PowerPoint. On the checklist, it's number 5 also. So,
Okay.
and I emailed that to everyone who registered today.
If
Okay.
are there any other questions? Well, we're recording this and we'll put it up on our website and send out the link to this recording. So those of you who weren't able to make it in real time today can watch Jennifer's presentation when it works in your schedule, and hopefully be registering a lot of people to vote, helping them to vote and registering to vote.
Thank you all for attending.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.